Hello, my name is Rebecca Wood and I'm going to talk to you about the Autistic School Staff Project, which I lead. Just to clarify, first of all, by school, I mean educational establishments for children usually roughly between the ages of 4 and 18, not university settings, first of all. And I am a senior lecturer in special education at the University of East London, although not for very much longer actually. I will soon be starting a new job at the University of Glasgow. So if anybody does want to get in touch, you'll be able to find me at the University of Glasgow from May onwards. So who are we? Well, we are a combination of academics, researchers and education practitioners from different universities and organisations in the UK, Poland and the US. We have autistic and non-autistic team members, and we are funded by the John and Lorna Wing Foundation. And our key aim has been to focus on the experiences and needs of autistic school staff. Now, our research is divided into 3 phases. Phase 1 was in 2019 to 2020, and that consisted of an online survey across the UK, for which we had 149 participants. So these were all autistic people who worked in an education role in schools. They either were working at the time of doing the survey or were no longer working in the profession. And in fact, about a third of our participants for the survey were no longer working in the profession. And we felt this was important because we wanted to understand the reasons why they were no longer doing so. A really key aspect of our research as well is that we don't only focus on teachers. In fact, about half of our participants for the survey were teachers, but we also had teaching assistants, head teachers, other senior management roles, early years teachers, trainee teachers, special education needs coordinators and visiting professionals. And this was followed by phase 2 in 2020 to 2021, with 33 of our phase 1 participants with whom we had in-depth interviews. And we were able to include in phase 2, because of the timing of phase 2, the impact of COVID-19. And this was quite interesting in various regards in terms of use of technology and response to change and that kind of thing. At the moment, we are in phase 3. And here we have extended to Poland and the US, and we are also including parents of autistic children. Those parents themselves may or may not be autistic, as well as teachers specifically in Poland and the US. Now we're just at the data collection phase of phase 3, and so most of what our findings at the moment, and most of what I'll be talking about, comes from phases 1 and 2. So I'm just going to give you an extremely brief insight into our key findings. Well, first of all, as you've seen, autistic school staff are already carrying out a range of roles in schools. As somebody said, we should be everywhere. We already are everywhere, but actually this is very much a hidden population, I would say. And this is also relevant from the point of view of subject teaching. So those who were secondary school teachers who taught young people between the ages of 11 and 18 actually specialised in a range of subjects. So you might have cliched ideas, or some people might have cliched ideas about the subjects that autistic people might specialise in, but a range of different subjects were included. Unfortunately, we found that they face multiple barriers to their well-being and career progression. They can experience significant sensory issues in the school environment, particularly in relation to noise, but also in relation to busyness and crowding, say in the school corridor, smells coming from the dining hall or from the staff room, and that kind of thing. Lots of problems around a lack of support and understanding, and all of these together could result in significant mental health issues, actually for many of our phase 1 participants. Stigma and hearing autism discussed in a negative and prejudiced way was upsetting, but also meant that participants feared revealing their own diagnosis. They certainly weren't going to tell other people that they were autistic when they heard autistic children, for example, talked about in a very negative and stigmatizing way. Social differences and difficulties with colleagues and parents was a big issue, as was dealing with change. Although interestingly, as I mentioned in relation to our COVID-19 findings, some of these were actually quite positive. Some of our participants actually enjoyed change and enjoyed bringing about change in the environments where they worked, and the various changes that were made in relation to COVID-19 enabled them to access those skills. And so many strengths were also evident. Some of our participants felt that the teaching profession is very much suited to autistic people. Schools, for example, tend to be quite routine bound. They also provide the opportunity to specialise in subjects and to teach with passion, which of course suits a monotropic thinking style, a tendency to have very deep, strong interests. And despite communication difficulties with colleagues and with parents, many of our participants felt that they have very strong communication skills with pupils, particularly those who are autistic or who are otherwise neurodivergent. And those who felt able to be open about the fact that they were autistic felt that they served as important role models for autistic children and indeed for their parents. And more broadly, they felt that they were able to facilitate inclusion. So that's just a very, very brief summary of our key findings. If you would like more information about our project, I would suggest that you go to our website, AutisticSchoolStaffProject.com. We also have a Twitter page, Aut School Staff, and we regularly post on there. On our website, you will find many free access resources. In fact, practically all of our resources so far that we have produced have been free access. One of these is an e-booklet that is on the Jessica Kingsley Publishers website called Amazing Autistic Teachers, and you can download that for free from our own website. There are 2 research reports, there are a couple of webinars, and if you have more of an academic interest in the subject and want more depth in the subject, then we also have a journal article published in Disability and Society called What are the Views and Experiences of Autistic Teachers? Findings from an online survey in the UK, and that is also free to download. Now, I have obviously only given the briefest of introductions to our project and to our findings. On the 7th of April, I'll be going into much more detail and depth on our research findings at the Centre for Research in Autism Education webinar, which is at University College London. So this is an entirely remote event. This is open to anyone to attend remotely via the Eventbrite link. So if you are interested in hearing more about our findings, then do go along and sign up for that webinar on the 7th of April this year. Finally, I'd just like to tell you about our edited book because it's due to be published very soon. Publication day is on the 21st of April 2022. It consists of chapters from about 15 different autistic school staff in a range of roles in schools, and they cover different topics and perspectives, topics such as identity, experiences, strengths and needs, race and ethnicity, marginalisation and belonging, and intersectionality. And you may know the authors Pete Warmby, Madge Woolard and Kieran Rose, who have all contributed chapters, as have several other autistic people, and it really is a fantastic collection. Learning for Autistic Teachers, How to be a Neurodiversity Inclusive School, which we published in the UK and in several other countries on the 21st of April. And so obviously I'm slightly biased, but I would definitely recommend that book if you're interested in this subject. That's it from me. Thank you very much for listening.